Welcome everyone to our 2018 final race for the season, actually our outdoor race for the season. We're going to run our last points race, and then we're going to run our championship. But man, what a beautiful day for our final championship.
Yes, September has been a record-setting weather month for us here in the Valley and Anchorage area and all over Alaska really. And today we have 12 pilots, which is a record race for us as well. As the math goes, about 5 or 6 pilots stand a chance to get on the podium. And as the season has been going, the pilots have been getting faster and faster. So we're going to see some real exciting racing today.
Should be a lot of fun. I hope you guys stay tuned and watch. We said we had 12 pilots, correct?
Yep, 12 pilots. So with that, let's race.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 2018 season championships points race number 9 with the Alaska Drone Racing League out here at beautiful Jim Creek RC Park here in Butte, Alaska. Well, folks, it's the last points race of the season, and as you can see, the snow is starting to fall on the top of Pioneer Peak there behind the track. The fall colors making their way down onto the track behind a stunning backdrop for the pilots to race through in this a perfect day out here in Jim Creek RC Park. So this will be the last race of the season, as we said before, and we are looking at 12 pilots signed up today. So it is a big race. We're going to have 7 heats of 4 pilots in each heat. So 3 rounds, 4 pilots, 7 rounds. If I said that right, let's say it again. 7 rounds, 3 heats with 4 pilots in each heat. So this will be the last chance to accumulate season points this season. And at the end of the 7 rounds today, we move into the championship race-off. So what we do with that is the top 3 season point earners will be given a blank slate. And there will be 3 rounds of championship racing there. They will each have an opportunity to be the king of the season. So top 3 pointers get to race against each other to become the ultimate champion of the 2018 summer season here at the Alaska Drone Racing League. So folks, fear not if you have missed out on the season or you just are getting warmed up and are hungry for more. The winter season is coming up. So stay tuned on the Facebook page for location. We do have one staked out that looks very promising. It'll be a tiny whoop indoor racing and micros if you have those. And so anybody, once again, is invited to join. This will be kind of keep your chops going over the course of the winter. It's not the full speed outdoor action that you see here, but more just camaraderie and getting the drone in the air. So as you can see, the pilot line there, brightly lit. It's a cloudless, limitless visibility day. It doesn't get any better than this. The pilots are making their way in from the flight line, having done the walkthrough, and we are about to get underway very shortly with this, the number 9 points race of the championship season.
Race number 1.
So we made it to round 1, heat number 1, the first race of today.
Hazard FPV.
And pilots are out there setting their drones up on the start blocks right now. In chair number 1, it will be FPV Slack or Mark Slack from Anchorage, Alaska. Chair 2, Hazard FPV. That's David Spencer from Anchorage, Alaska. FPV Drift in chair 3, Wes Frymouth up from Eagle River, and FPV Free in chair 4. That's Caleb Lofstrom from the neighboring town of Wasilla, Alaska. So these guys getting their quads put together. It's a bright, sunny, shiny day. There is some low sun in the back corners there. We'll see how that goes throughout the day to see if that gets into the pilot's eyes and it makes it difficult to navigate. That'll be kind of going back on the front stretch mostly towards the woods on the left-hand side of the mountain as we're looking at it right now. Also maybe getting through the corkscrew as they get turned around. There is some low sun out in that direction off to the left of the track. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, not a breath of air, not a cloud. The visibility looks like the mountains off in the distance are just as close as the hand I have right in front of my face. So that is what we're faced with right now. The pilots have got everything set up and they have returned to the flight line. All right, so it looks like FPV Slacker is not going to be able to race in this particular one. So we got 3 pilots, chairs 2, 3, and 4, getting ready to race.
Pilots ready. All right. On the tone. Let's race.
And 3 quads have burst into the air. As you can see, coming through the start gate, 3 quads all together. So it's Hazard FPV, FPV Drift, and FPV Free. The score clock says it was Hazard FPV first through the starting gate off the blocks. So you can see in the FPV shots there, the fall colors, and boy, just FPV Drift going right by. I think it was FPV Free there. The near collision. They're right on top of each other right now in the split S gate area as Hazard FPV has come through the start gate already with a time of 25.555. So he'll set the pace for the day. We'll be keeping track of the fastest lap throughout the day. The winner of that one goes home with a trophy. So lots of trophies being collected on a day like today on the last race of the 2018 season. So everyone's been through the start gate already. FPV Free now through at 46.076 seconds, and FPV Drift through at 49.839 seconds. Hazard FPV now onto his 3rd lap as we speak. He's over the hurdle now and through the gate, now on to lap number 4 with 43 seconds left in this race. So there's maybe some strategy to be put into this because we're looking at season points versus race points. So the top 3 of this race will go home with a trophy for the race. However, the top 3 of the season will get a chance to race off for a season trophy as well. So 15 seconds left in the race. It's Hazard FPV now on to his 5th lap, I believe. And it looks like this will be the last lap for everybody out there. FPV, Hazard FPV on the corkscrew. We'll see if the whole shot counts.
Hazard FPV and first Hazard FPV done.
And that was it. He just missed that. It's a 5 lap, just over 2 minute time. Look at that. 0.160 seconds away from that 6th lap. So that was super close on that particular one there. And now it's FPV Drift and FPV Free. FPV Free finishing with 3 laps in 2:21.001. And just FPV Drift now out on the race, on the track. There he is coming over the hurdle. And that's the start gate as well.
Done. All pilots are finished.
So there's your results from round 1, heat number 1. It's Hazard FPV taking that one, just missing his 6th lap by 161 thousandths of a second. So that's very close to getting onto that 6th lap. I'm sure he'll be pushing for that as the day goes on. It's FPV Free pulling in the 6 points, or the 4 points for the 6 points rather for the 2nd place, and FPV Drift with the 4 points on number 3 place.
AK Sumner 16.
And we're down to round one, heat number 2. It's Smock FPV. Sean Wolverton from Wasilla, Alaska. AK Sumner will be sitting in chair number 2. He's from Wasilla. And in chair number 3, FPV Maverick, that's Billy Thomas from Anchorage, Alaska. We're working on getting those quads set up on the starting blocks right now.
Walk through the gate.
And we'll be starting our round number 2. Round 1, heat number 2, momentarily.
FPV Maverick.
All right, so 3 pilots are now set up, plugged in, video's ready, and we've got our spotters put together, and we are just about ready to get underway on this next
On the tone.
race of round number 1.
Let's race.
3 drones successfully up into the air, all packed together closely through the start gate. It would be Smock getting the nod from the timing computer on this one. AK Sumner threw it next and followed closely by FPV Maverick. So 3 fast drone jocks out there on the course as we speak. So coming through the little bit of contact was...
Maverick in first.
I think it'd be AK Sumner there in the corkscrew there. FPV Maverick will draw first blood through the gate at the time of 24.524 seconds.
AK Sumner 16 in second.
So it's AK Sumner. That might have been who was made the contact in the corkscrew. So there's Smock coming third just as FPV Maverick goes in and laps him onto his third lap now as FPV Maverick. So that one a bit quicker for him, 23.724 seconds. Keeping the pace coming down, looking for a gift certificate for the fastest lap time on the day. Also a bunch of gift bags, prizes for the championship.
AK Sumner 16 in second.
So AK Sumner now through the gate onto his third lap, followed closely by Smock. It's 29 and, excuse me, the time's a little different on the computer there. Smock at 31 and Sumner at 32 seconds on that lap with 20 seconds left to go in this race. FPV Maverick on pace for 5 laps. He'll be onto his 5th lap right now, going back into the backstretch. So far, it doesn't look like there's any problems from the sunshine. Now, Smock has made it through the gate. He'll be onto his 4th lap. And AK Sumner has met with a cruel fate somewhere out there on the track. He is down and not able to finish this particular race. FPV Maverick finishing the race, 5 laps in just over 2 seconds. And it is Smock out there on the track still remaining. So over the hurdle he comes, and through the finish gate, Smock is all finished as well. Picks up a 4-point gain on the day. So there's your results for round number 1, heat 2. FPV Maverick putting in a 5-lap race, just missing his sixth lap by just under 2 seconds. So there's your pace for the day. Some fast racing on this crystal clear day. Smock FPV gets 6 points for his effort out there, 221, 271. That's 4 laps for him.
Next, race number 3. Dan Boy Man Boy.
And just like that, we're on to round 1, heat number 3. It's AK Drones in chair number 1. It's Ryan Martin from neighboring Wasilla. AK Honky in chair 2. It's John Sam up from Chugiak, Alaska. Dan Boy Man Boy will be flying out of chair 3. That's Dan Mahoney from Anchorage, Alaska. And Mr. Geek FPV, Buckley Clark, our current season leader from Anchorage, Alaska, over there in chair number 4. So there they are out there at the hurdle, with their backs to the hurdle, putting their quads up on the start podium. So just about to start the 3rd race on the day. It's round number 1, heat number 3. 4 pilots in this race. We're going to have 4 pilots throughout the day. The last one still waiting for one of the gentlemen to show up and get themselves out here to the track. But right now, it's round 1, heat number 3. Tone sounds on the scoring computer, and we got 4 quads into the air. First one through the gate according to the scoring computer, is AK Drones. Followed by AK Honky, Dan Boy, Man Boy, and Mr. Geek. That's Dan Boy, Man Boy, and AK Drones mixing it up out there. They're on the ground. AK Drones, you can hear, making a vast effort to get himself righted. We'll check back with them as we progress to see if they can get themselves up into the air. Looks like Dan Boy, Man Boy may be done for this race. The video is now blank. Mr. Geek, meanwhile, gets himself through the gate, followed closely by AK Honky. Both with 32-second lap times. Looks like Mr. Geek may be playing it a little bit easier today to hold on to those season points. We'll see how that unfolds. There will be a lot of strategies out there to see how guys are going to approach this race in regards to getting into that third race after this race number 9. So Mr. Geek now onto his third lap with 49 seconds in the race. That one a bit faster. That one's a 28.848. So maybe that just kind of a warm-up lap for him to get things under his belt. Looks like he's steadily moving along. AK Drones is upside down and no longer moving. So it's just these two here to collect points on the day if they're lucky enough, fortunate enough to finish their race as well. Mr. Geek now solidly in the lead there onto his fourth lap with 18 seconds. AK Honky not too far behind him in second place.
10.
So again, racing this regional qualifier track backwards, a little bit of a challenge. It's opposite of what they've done. Everyone's kind of got it dialed in now and seems to be pretty confident with it. So Mr. Geek now over the hurdle into the starting gate, going right by AK Honky there.
Mr. Geek
And it's AK Honky stealing that from Mr. Geek. I'm not sure how, I didn't see how that happened, but that was a heck of a finish right there for AK Honky. So we'll have to look at that on our replay and see how that all went. You could see his video, right on the video there, his quad went right into his other camera there, and that was pretty amazing. Well, we're looking forward to seeing the replay on that one. Nice finish, John. And there it is, the results of round 1, heat number 3. An upset there. AK Honky coming from behind right at the last second, and look at the spread on that time. It is 21 thousandths of a second. AK Honky pulling up the 10 points for his win there. Mr. Geek just making it through there with 6 points, and that's about as close as it's going to get. I think we had one last 2 weeks ago in the last race. That was pretty darn close, but that I think is the closest time spread that we've seen yet. So folks, while we're waiting for the setup here, why don't we take a look at where we stand both on the season and on the day. First on the season, it's Mr. Geek right now with a fairly sizable lead on the rest of the group. It's a 14-point lead as Mr. Geek over Dan Boy, Man Boy. Just behind Dan Boy is FPV Maverick with 300 AK Honky of 292. So it looks like those guys are in pretty solid contention for that championship race-off later on the day. So we'll keep an eye on how that goes. Keep those names in mind. Now on the day right now, Hazard FPV, FPV Maverick, and AK Honky all with 10 points. Smock, Mr. Geek, and FPV Free coming in. And second on theirs, and FPV Drift has picked up a 3rd point total. So we are walking back now from the setup. The drones are pretty well placed, and the pilots are making their way back to the flight line here to start this round number 2, heat number 1. And actually it's AK Drones doing some last minute fixes out there. He's on his way out to check in. As he walks through the gate there, you hear the timing computer registering him checked into the race, and he will place his quad on the block and get it all squared away. So some of the prizes that we're looking at today, as the day goes on, we're looking at some gift cards from Anchorage House of Hobbies. First of all, some $20 gift cards going to go to Best Crash, and that'll be decided by the group. $20 to the best crash of the day. So someone maybe want to sacrifice their quad at the end of the day. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. The next one, $20 goes to the most broken up drone. And I would suggest maybe the higher total card would go to that to get the guy fixed up. But $20 going to the most broken up. Red Lantern, the slowest guy of the day, will also get a $20 Anchorage House of Hobbies gift card. And the higher ones, $30 go to the best sportsman in the league here as determined by the day. $30 gift card. And for the fastest lap on the day, a $40 gift card will be handed out to the person that gets that one. So AK Drones still working on some kind of a technical issue out there. Sounds like maybe a prop is not tightened down, or something's not quite right with his drone out there. So we'll get that squared away, and we'll be on to the next race momentarily. So we're all set up on the podium.
Ready.
We have the spotters.
Let's race.
And just waiting the race tone now. So 3 quads up into the air through the start gate. And the scoring computer says AK Drones, AK Sumner, and FPV Free in that order through the start gate off the blocks. So a fairly tight grouping for this bunch there. And oh, it's AK Drones flying into the gate on the back corner of the course. And he'll be into the ground. He'll work on getting that righted. For now, we'll join AK Sumner and FPV Free as they continue through the course. It'll be AK Sumner finishing the lap first. He with a time of 37.037 seconds. AK Drones still working on getting that righted. FPV Free now through the gate at 45.626 seconds. AK Sumner now going through the split S and into the corkscrew. And you see that hurdle flag, you know they're just about to finish a lap right there. With 40 seconds left, it's AK Sumner going on to his third lap. FPV Free now coming over the hurdle and through the start gate. He'll be on to his third lap as well with 24 seconds. Both lap times, these guys suggest that this may be the last lap. There's the corkscrew for AK Sumner now. His last lap was 37.688 seconds. With 10 seconds to go, we'll see if he can sneak through here and get himself a bonus lap. 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like he will. He'll be on to his fourth lap. And that'll finish the time on the track out there. These guys will finish their laps and bring it on in. It's FPV Free. Looks like he'll be done first, going through the gate.
FPV Free in second.
So he'll pick up at least 6 points on the day. Waiting for AK Sumner now to finish his last lap. Into the corkscrew. And over the hurdle there, and looks like he will pick up 10 points and the victory on round number 1, heat number 3.
All pilots are finished.
And there's your results. AK Sumner brings home the 10 points on that one, round 2, heat number 1.
Next, race
FPV Free will pick up 6 points on the day for that one. AK Drones, unfortunately, on his first lap, got into a tangle with a gate on the backstretch and was not able to finish his race. And next up is round 2, heat number 2. Smuck FPV race got a chair 1. FPV Drift on chair 2. FPV Maverick in the third position, and Dan Boy, Manboy, will be racing in the 4th position. They are out on the track as usual, getting things squared away. Those drones switched on, armed, and positioned for the start. And it's just a matter of collecting spotters, getting the timing computer ready to go, and it's just about time to race in this second race of round number 2.
We get spotters, please. I got Dan. I got you. All right, good to go. Pilots, are you ready?
So again, the spotters are necessary to make sure that the drone can be located after it's gone down, if that does happen, and to make sure that there's no interference out on the track. So a little bit of contact off the start blocks, but everyone's away fairly cleanly. And everyone is still into the air. So Smock FPV through the start gate first, followed by Drift, Maverick, and Danboy. And it may have been a little damage out there. We'll see how it goes as the race progresses, because a couple of those guys have slowed down a little bit. But it's FPV Maverick getting his way through the start gate first, followed closely by Smock FPV. Those times 25.346 in 31 seconds. It didn't seem as though it was that long. But Danboy Manboy now through 6 seconds after Smock at 37.277. FPV Drift out there working on finishing his first lap. And FPV Maverick now through the gate. He is on pace for right now it's showing 5 laps, so he can keep that going. He may squeeze out that 6. That one a 25-second lap time. And FPV Drift comes through just as Smock does at the same time, and Smock gets by him there as well. FPV Maverick, that time a little bit slower, 26.457 on the lap time there. And he's starting to increase his gap between there and Smock. As Smock is now just coming up to the next gate there with 20 seconds left in the race. Smock is through onto there, and FPV Maverick just behind Danboy Manboy through the gate, but he is a lap and a half ahead there. So FPV Maverick showing a pace for about a 2:08 on this one. So a bad first lap, I think, would slow him down. That one a 25-second lap. And a little bit of contact with a flag out there on the back corner. Everyone's still up in the air. So as the bell sounds, everyone's times are going to start coming in. FPV Maverick in first place and finishing first, followed by Smock FPV with 4 laps. Danboy Manboy not too far behind, and FPV Drift finishes with his 2 laps as well. So a pretty tight race on that one. Everyone coming through the gate almost at the same time.
The race is completed. AK Honky.
So the results, round 2, heat number 2. It's FPV Maverick putting on another 5-lap effort there. So 2 5-lap efforts for him. This one a little bit slower, 2:05.836. The key is to get the points, stay in the air, and not crash out. That's good for both the season and for the the race day itself. Smock FPV gets 6 points on the day, just behind, 5 seconds behind him. And then Danboy Manboy, a mere 3 seconds behind Smock, gets the 3rd place points for the day. FPV Drift finishing up with 4th place on that one. And we're already at round number 2, heat 3, the last race in the second round of the day out of 7. It'll be FPV Slacker, Hazard FPV, AK Honky, and Mr. Geek FPV. So this chance for another rematch between AK Honky and Mr. Geek FPV. If you just remember on the first round there, it was Mr. Geek getting it stolen from him. AK Honky sneaks by him right at the last second on a pretty amazing recovery on that one. So we'll be watching those 2 guys really closely, and the rest of the field there. Hazard FPV is also a very fast guy, so he can play spoiler on this one as well. So we got a little trash talking going on over there. It's a heated race. We're going to see some brutal competition on this track on this one. This would be an exciting one, folks. 4 pilots are ready and set, waiting for a tone.
Okay, let's race on the tone.
And 4 into the air. They're on their way.
FPV Slacker.
So right away, you're seeing a pretty close battle there. Mr. Geek is already into the weeds, so he was playing it not safe that time. He was going fast, and somehow FPV Slacker got counted a lap that was not correct.
FPV Slacker in first.
And now they're coming through something going on with the scoring computer there. So that's an interesting, so Hazard FPV now into the ground. It's only AK Honky surviving right now, so he's looking to pick up that 10 points if he can keep it going, because everybody else is pretty much done. I don't see any movement. Hazard FPV is still working on getting his quad up. FPV Slacker is unplugged. Mr. Geek FPV is also upside down and not running. So it's AK Honky through the gate. He's on to lap number 3 right now. With 43 seconds left in the race, he should get at least one more lap after this one. So I didn't see what happened if the pilots crashed into each other over there, or if they just individually crashed into different places. But it was all pretty close together. I think at least 2 of them probably did run into each other, and then shortly thereafter, there was another collision. So over the gate is
AK Honky in second.
AK Honky is through the gates, timing FPV Slacker, who is in the air. I'm not sure what's going on. There's another quad in the air right now. I'm not getting his video, so I think he actually is still running. AK Slacker's out there. And sure enough, you hear the tangling with the weeds. He is working on it. We just don't have a video from him, so something's happened with that. He actually is in the air, so he can grab the points. Now the race is done. It's up to AK Honky to finish this lap and pick up his 10 points, as now he's over the hurdle. And indeed, it'll be a 10-point gain for AK Honky once again. So a little bit of a victory lap for him, as it 2 rounds, 2 wins. So we'll join the track here as FPV Slacker still out on the track. And again, for one reason or another, we lost the video from him. I thought he had crashed, and maybe that's what the confusion was out there. I kept hearing his name pop up, but didn't see his score. So he's out there on the back side of the track, working on the split S right now into the corkscrew. Yeah, it looks like he missed the gate there. He's going to try that again. And now around a flag, through the final gate, over the hurdle. And he is through to pick up 6 points on that one.
All pilots are finished. Up next,
So AK Honky continues his onslaught there. 10 points for him in 4 laps, 225, 565. FPV Slacker picks up 6 points on the day. And now that we're down with 2 rounds, we can take a look at where we are shaking out on the day. FPV Maverick and AK Honky both tied with a perfect day there. FPV Maverick with a 2-lap advantage on that one. In second place, the tie is with Smock and FPV Free, each with 12 points. Hazard and AK Sumner tied out down there in third at 10 points each, and then a 6 points as you go down the list. So we're showing the top 10. If you're not seeing the pilot on the list, it's just because they are not in that top 10 rankings right there. And we're on the round 3 heat number 1. It'll be Hazard FPV, FPV Maverick, Danboy, Manboy, and Mr. Geek FPV. Mr. Geek will get his chance to get back up into the standings here. Taking a look at season standings, Danboy has closed the gap just a little bit there. It's now a 10-point spread after Mr. Geek wasn't able to finish his round 2 race. So we're going to keep a close eye on those top 4 pilots. It's 2-point spread between second and third, and only an 8-point spread between third and fourth. So you're looking at the top. It's only 20 points difference for the top 4 pilots on the season. So this is going to be a bloodbath at the end, I do believe. And so it's Hazard FPV, FPV Maverick, Dan Boy, Man Boy, and Mr. Geek FPV. They have got their quads placed. They're up at the starting flight line right now. And it looks like we got all good videos and spotters are put together. We're just about ready to race.
Let's race on the toe.
Not ready.
Oh, not ready?
Okay, I'm good now. Okay.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are all pilots ready?
Yeah.
All right, so everybody is now ready. The battle of nerves begins.
Hazard FPV.
4 quads up into the air and through the gates. It's a fast race, folks. Hazard FPV, FPV Maverick, Dan Boy, Man Boy, and Mr. Geek, all the top pilots in the league right now. So this should be an epic battle right here. Hazard FPV draws first blood on this race as he's through the gate in a time of 20 seconds, 20.290. I think that's probably the fastest lap time of the year. FPV Maverick now behind him by 6 seconds at 26. Dan Boy, Man Boy, 28 seconds, and Mr. Geek at 29. So you're going to have to work to earn your points on this race, folks. This is a fast one. And FPV Maverick, looks like his video is freezing up, so that's probably an issue that we're having here and not so much what he's seeing, because it looks like he's flying just fine. Hazard FPV still out in front. He's on a pace for 6 laps here, so he keeps that going easily, 6 laps, and FPV Maverick still in second. That one a faster time for him, 24.285. And now a 23.433. So faster and faster for FPV Maverick. Hazard FPV at 22 seconds on his last lap. And Hazard FPV has come into contact with something, so a little bit of a mistake there. You can see something hanging off his drone, and he's having trouble now. There's something gone awry over the hurdle for him. That's going to slow him down. He's still in first, but not too far behind as FPV Maverick is giving him an opportunity to catch up.
Dan Boy, Man Boy in third.
With 2 seconds, 1 second, so we're all in our last lap now. It is
FPV Maverick.
FPV Maverick taking that race. Hazard FPV's hanging in there just behind him. So a little bit of a bobble there cost Hazard the race right near the end. And there's Dan Boy, Man Boy on the split S going into the ground. So he won't finish this race more than likely. Mr. Geek out there
Mr. Geek FPV in fourth.
has just finished his race, and Mr. Geek, the season leader, finishing 4th on this race. And Dan Boy, Man Boy did get back into the air. Dan Boy, Man Boy did get back into the air and finished his race as well.
The race is completed.
All right, folks, so a few things to sort out on that one. Round 3, heat number 1. It was FPV Maverick finishing at his 5th lap with a whole shot time of 1:58.829. So you'll see that's under 2 minutes. You need 2 minutes to finish the race. We're not sure if the scoring computer gave it to him or we just finished it early. Either way, FPV Maverick comes away with 5 laps. First place, 10 points at 1:58.829. Hazard FPV just behind him there with 5 laps and 2:01.311. And Dan Boy, Man Boy, we thought was down and out of the race. We didn't get the video. We cut away from him, and we're watching Mr. Geek finish up. He actually snuck through and finished his race, but not before Mr. Geek finished with 5 laps, 2:22.602. So he picks up 3rd place points. Dan Boy, Man Boy in 4th place. Still 5 laps, 2:31.381. So that, folks, I think is our first 5-lap 4-pilot race of the season. So that's another first for us here at Alaska Drone Racing League. So on the day, even though we've just started round number 3, just keeping a look at the horse race here, FPV Maverick, AK Honky, and Hazard FPV 1, 2, 3 like that. Doesn't really give any standings of how they're going to come out at the end of the day, but there's where you're looking season standing wise. how's it shaking out? So it's FPV Maverick now, leapfrogging Dan Boy Man Boy, now within 6 points of Mr. Geek on the day. So we're tightening things up here. AK Honky, who hasn't raced yet, he is on this next race with a 10-point victory for him. If he gets that, that'll keep him in 4th place, but only within 2 points of Dan Boy Man Boy. So really going to keep a close eye on how this all shakes out here throughout the day. So as you said, it's round 3, heat number 2, FPV Slacker, FPV Drift, and AK Honky. So we'll keep an eye on AK Honky, as 10 points is what he's going to kind of need to maintain his position on this race for the 3-race race-off later in the day. So they have placed their quads. They're on their way back to the flight line. And again, it'll be the top 3. So there's a horse race for 4 pilots right now. The top 3 of those guys, cumulative point totals, will go on to a 3-round race-off at the end of the day. All right, so we have 3 pilots with goggles on. Looks like they are set up and just about ready to go, collecting the spotters.
Okay,
and
spotters ready.
We are just about underway on heat number 2 of round 3.
Okay, racers ready. Okay. Race on the tone.
So 3 quads up into the air, and we are racing, folks. FPV Slacker, FPV Drift, and AK Honky live on the racetrack. So it's going to be AK Honky now through the split S, going through the corkscrew. Up and around the flag. We'll try to think of a name for that last flag there over the hurdle and through the start gate. So it's AK Honky right now on pace for 4 laps right now. That a lap time of 33.583 seconds. FPV Drift and FPV Slacker still out there pretty close. Actually, it's try to see who this is that's just come through the gate right now. It's FPV Drift now on to his 2nd lap. And meets with a bush there as he goes through the chicanes, comes out okay. He's still flying. And AK Honky now onto his 3rd lap. 45 seconds to go. That a lap time of 35.656. He should manage a 4th lap here. FPV Slacker now finishing his 1st lap and on to lap number 2 for him. That a time of 1:16.947. So you can see FPV Drift and AK Honky both in about the same place at the same time. That always gets dangerous, folks, to have a little bit of contact out there. They managed to keep out of each other's way as AK Honky now through a gate makes a little bit of mistake there. It's going to regroup over the hurdle and on to lap number 4 with 2 seconds to spare. That will be race time. And FPV Drift also sneaks through onto his next lap. So everybody out there now on their last lap, looking to gain points on the day and the season. It's FPV Slacker hitting a flag out on the backstretch just as AK Honky was going by him. A big cloud of dust out there as it looks like he's down and on the ground for good on this one. We'll keep an eye on that as we join FPV Drift and AK Honky.
AK Honky in first, AK Honky done.
And AK Honky has finished his race. It's just FPV Drift now out on the track. And it looks like FPV Slacker actually has got his quad back up into the air. So we'll go to him. He'll try to keep it in the air to get some 3rd place points. So through the corkscrew over the hurdle for him. And that will be third place points for FPV Slacker as well.
All pilots are finished.
And there's the results of your race. It's AK Honky now on track, looking for that perfect day here. He's 3 for 3. AK Honky 10 points on that one. 4 laps, 2:29.920. FPV Drift bringing home the 6 points for second, and FPV Slacker in third on the day on that one. Season standings wise, AK Honky got just what he needed, 10 points to keep himself, draws himself within 2 points of Dan Boy Manboy on the day, and 14 points of the overall lead. So the grouping continues to tighten as we go on throughout the day. So we're down to round 3, heat number 3. It's AK Drones, Smock FPV, AK Sumner, and FPV Free. They've got their quads all put together on the starting blocks there. So AK Drones had a little bit of a problem right there at the end where he couldn't get one of his props to spin, so he did attempt to change out into a different quad, but can't get it up into the air in enough time. So that's about all the time we can allow, and we're gonna go on with the race. The pilots are ready and waiting on the timing clock. And the tone has sounded. We're in the air. So a tight grouping right now. Somebody's just got a little bit of ground contact. Looks like AK Sumner went into the ground, went straight in the air, spinning around. He has recovered though, and back flying. So right now, it's first through the gate. Smock FPV well in the lead of this one here. AK Sumner now meeting the gate again on the just before the hurdle. The name of it's the just before the hurdle gate, I guess we'll call it. And now he is through into his second lap. And FPV Free, not too far behind it there, just coming over the hurdle and onto his second lap as well. So on this one, the lap times at 31, 48, and 57 seconds. Smock just beat his last lap time, 32.553 on that lap. So it's AK Sumner now as he gets through onto his third lap. And FPV, that's Smock actually, just ahead of FPV Free. So Smock looking to pick up those big points here as he can keep it in the air. There's now 10 seconds left in this race. It'll appear that everybody is on their last lap now, although AK Sumner does beat the buzzer, so he's on to one more lap. And Smock is now finished with his race. He finishes with 10 points, 4 laps, 2:06.266.
FPV Free in third. FPV Free done.
FPV Free finishes in third for now. AK Summer will need to finish his race to gain those second place points. He is 1 lap ahead, and he does that indeed. And we have a 1-2-3 up and a 1-2-3 finish.
Pilots are finished.
And we are through 3 rounds now. We're going to call that halftime. We're going to go on to lunch here at the Jim Creek RC Park. Enjoy some of this beautiful summer weather and pretty much bug-free, breeze-free. Everything's great. So the end of that one, Smock FPV picking up the first place, 4 laps, 2:06.266. AK Sumner also with 4 laps, a bit behind him at 2:32.132, and FPV Free picks up the third place points on that one. For the day, here's where we stand after 3 rounds. FPV Maverick and AK Honky both with perfect days so far, 30 points each. Smock FPV right behind them at 22, And then in third place, a three-way tie. Hazard FPV, FPV Free, and AK Sumner all duking it out for the point positions on the race day. Season standings hasn't changed a whole lot from the last one, but we will bring that up one more time. It's FPV Maverick just behind Mr. Geek by 6 points on the season. Dan Boy, Man Boy, 6 points on that one as well. And then the spread after that, only 2 points, AK Honky to Dan Boy, Man Boy. So again, we'll keep our eyes closely peeled to see how that shakes out in the next 4 rounds going forward today.
On the track.
And welcome back. It's after lunchtime now. We're on to round number 4. It's round 4, heat number 1. It's FPV Slacker in chair 1, FPV Drift in chair 2, FPV Maverick, and Mr. Geek FPV, Mr. Geek FPV in chairs 3 and 4 respectively. This will be a head-to-head matchup between the two season standings leaders right now. As you can see, Mr. Geek FPV enjoys a 6-point margin over FPV Maverick. So this can be one that either Mr. Geek can pull ahead or FPV Maverick is pulls up or even ahead of Mr. Geek, depending on how things turn out right now. So the two guys on the right side of the screen there, or as it was on the right side of the screen, are going to be the ones that we'll be focusing on for the bulk of this race coming up. And it looks like all pilots have gotten themselves put together. The spotters are there, and we're just about ready to go on round number 4.
On the tone. Let's race.
The tone sounds that we have 4 quads into the air. It's Mr. Geek FPV charging hard out of the box. And someone, I think it was Slacker, making contact on the gate coming through the start line. So a very tight race right now between Mr. Geek and FPV Maverick. Both through the corkscrew now. There we go. Now we're all through the corkscrew. Right now it looks like it's going to be FPV Maverick coming out ahead of this one. So a 6-point spread right now between first and second. It's a 4-point difference. So that will be your margin. He can either, FPV Maverick brings it in first and Geek in second. That's a 4-point gain to a 2-point spread. And we'll see how that stacks up. Right now, the lap total, FPV Maverick at 23 points on the first one, 24 seconds on the second one. Mr. Geek coming in at 33 seconds on his first lap. And now finishing lap number 2 at a time of 27:147. So that one considerably quicker than the first one around. Had a few moose burgers on the barbecue there at lunch, and those were delicious. Some of the things you can only get out here in Alaska the way we have them. So it's FPV Maverick still charging ahead on his third lap now on a 5-lap pace. 25.686 was the last time. A little bit of trouble out there on the stretch. Everyone's still up in the air. So Maverick and Geek now coming in right behind each other, although Maverick is 1 lap up on Mr. Geek, it looks like. So 23.553 for Miss FPV Maverick. And FPV Drift is now down.
Mr. Geek FPV in second, Mr. Geek FPV.
So Mr. Geek finishes before FPV Maverick, who is on a lap ahead of him. And FPV Maverick now finishing up, and he'll gain the 10 points and close the gap with Mr. Geek FPV. We'll take a look at the times here in just a second. But Mr. FPV Slacker out on the track still. Trying to find him here on the, there he is. So there's FPV Slacker still out on the track. He is making his way over towards the split S, I believe. No, he's through the corkscrew, through the last hurdle, and through the last gate, and that will finish it up for him as well.
FPV slacker done.
So 4 starts, 4 finishes, a good race out there.
Race order.
So there it is, FPV Maverick putting up the 5-lap race, still charging hard there, just missing that 6th lap by just over 2 seconds. So Mr. Geek FPV is keeping it going and looking like he's pretty happy with his position. All you need to do is get into that third top 3, and that could be the strategy going forward, is just get yourself into that top 3. Don't push too hard. Get those points and stay in contention, and then move on from there. So the season standings now look like this. Mr. Geek FPV clinging tenuously to his lead in first place by only 2 points over FPV Maverick, 332 to 330. And it's tightened up. Dan Boy, Man Boy, and AK Honky at 2 points as well. The split between first and fourth is now back to 20 points. So we'll have to see how that goes on this next race. It's AK Honky stepping up to the line now to put his total on the board today, as is Dan Boy, Man Boy. So those two are going to be going head-to-head as well in this next race. So there we are, round 4, heat number 2 indeed. It's Smock FPV in chair 1, AK Honky in chair 2, Dan Boy, Man Boy in chair number 3. There you go, the 2 and 3 chairs are where we're going to be looking again, going back to the season standings. Just again, it is Dan Boy, Man Boy, and AK Honky with a 2-point spread. So that's going to determine where they end up, and this is the battle really for the 3rd place position. The other 2 are getting close to having it locked up, although it's not guaranteed, but the 3rd place position is the winner flies on, and the loser packs up for the season. So that's what we're going to be looking at here in the next 3 rounds. So they're out there placing their quads ever so carefully on the starting blocks, just to make sure that everything's working properly and that they're going to get a good start and be on their way. Sun's moving around as the day progresses. Now back behind the main peak of Pioneer Peak, and just a spectacular day to be out and racing. So looks like the racers are just about ready. The spotters should have been gathered together, and it's just about time to race once again.
Pilot ready, on the tone, as race.
And the tone sounds, 3 quads into the air, 1 into the flag right there at the very beginning. That'll be trying to work out who that was. We'll find out momentarily. It was Sean. So Smock finding the flag right through the first gate there. He has recovered. He's back up onto the track and flying fine. For now, it's a close race at 1 and 2. Both
Dan Boy, Man Boy in first.
coming over the hurdle exactly together. Dan Boy, Man Boy getting through the hurdle, and AK Honky having a little bit of trouble right at the end and bobbling and going up above, circling back around and coming back through. So there's your split right there. Scored them both almost exactly the same, 31.002 and 31.061. But in reality, it was about a 2 or 3 second split as AK Honky had to loop up and around one more time.
AK Honky in second.
So now it's AK Honky.
Dan Boy, Man Boy in second.
It said in second, but I think that was incorrect. AK Honky, then Dan Boy, Man Boy just behind him, 31 and 34 seconds respectively on that last lap. Smock is bringing his gap a little bit closer there, 32nd lap there, so he's tightening it up, maybe trying to reel these guys in. With 28 seconds left in this race, that should be a couple more laps left in these guys. AK Honky now through. 30 seconds on that last lap, so probably a little bit too little time for him to finish one more lap with 12, 11, 10 seconds left now on this race. So everybody's on 3. And that is the timer, finishing it up. We're on to our last lap right now as we speak. Coming around through the hurdle and over through the last gate, it's Smock FPV. And
AK Honky in second, AK Honky done.
it looks like it was AK Honky coming in just after Smock. We'll have to sort this thing out. The scoring computer had some funny information for us.
AK Sumner.
Well, there it is, round 4, heat number 2. It was Smock and AK Honky, and Danboy Manboy. Smock FPV plays a spoiler on that one as he sneaks by AK Honky at the end, beating him through the gate by about 3 seconds. So AK Honky, that finishes his bid on the perfect day, but that gives him, standings-wise, going into the season here, 4-point margin on Danboy Manboy now, as Danboy did not finish that last race. And so that gets him a little bit closer to making that podium. It's still going to be a bloody battle for the next few rounds before we get into the finals. Round 4, heat number 3. 4 pilots racing in this one. AK Drones, Hazard FPV, AK Sumner, and FPV Free. Although it does not have any bearing on the season standings, race day wise. FPV Maverick in the lead right now, going into the last race of round 4. So we got 4 pilots with goggles on, looking like they're just about ready to race out there. Spotters have been gathered. And it's just about time to race on this last lap of round number 4.
Salmon? This is your song. Okay, racers ready? On the tone.
And here we go, just about ready to hit the button. The tone sounds, and we've got 3 quads into the air. One is in the dirt there right now. Looks like it's AK Drones had trouble getting off the block, and Hazard FPV also getting into finding a hazard out there himself, getting into some trouble. We'll join those guys. They get their quads back into the air. It's AK Sumner and FPV Free right now. Hazard FPV indeed has gotten his quad back up into the air and is continuing to race. AK Drones still working on getting that one upright. We will join him if he does indeed do that.
Hazard FPV in second.
So Hazard FPV and AK Sumner now through the starting gate. And FPV Free, they've all finished their first lap, 32, 42, and 49 seconds plus respectively. AK Drones seems to have quieted down out there. Looks like he's given up the ghost on that one. Hazard FPV now up with a little bit stronger lead now over AK Sumner. This would be a race between 2 of the faster guys out there as well. That Hazard FPV lap came in at 22.372 seconds. AK Sumner's lap, not too much behind that.
Hazard FPV in first. FPV Free in third.
So Hazard and FPV Free both come through the start gate exactly the same time, although laps separated. AK Sumner now, there's your lap on that one with 13 seconds left in this race. This should be the last lap for all these guys, although we do see Hazard coming through now. There he is. And that is with 2 seconds to spare, 1 and 0 is the lap time. The race time is up.
FPV Free in third.
So first to finish up is FPV Free. He'll be in 3rd place with 3 laps.
AK Sumner 16.
AK Sumner comes through next. And it's Hazard FPV is the only one left. And he is all done with the race as well.
Finished. Race number 1.
So it shakes out like this. It'll be Hazard FPV bringing home the win on that one. 10 points for him, 5 laps, 2:16.106. AK Sumner 1 lap down on him, although coming through the gate 6 seconds ahead, which is why it seems like maybe some guys are finishing before others. They're just different laps. So 4 laps for him, 6 points on the day, 2:10.901. FPV Free 1 lap down yet on that, 6 seconds ahead of them there. So on the day. This is the end of round number 4, and so this all is a clean comparison between all the pilots. FPV Maverick continuing on his perfect day, 40 points. AK Honky having a great day so far, 36 in second place solidly right now, and Smock in a solid third place coming on to the day. So we are up to round 5, heat number 1. It's Hazard FPV, AK Sumner, and Dan Boy Manboy. They have placed their quads and they are returning to the fly line as we speak, getting ready to get this the second to last round of the 2018 regular season.
Hey, the spotters and everything looks like we're good. All right, on the tone.
So we're just waiting for a race tone now. And we're racing. 3 in the air, 3 fast quads moving now. 3 of the faster guys out there, Hazard, AK Summer, and Dan Boy Manboy. Right now, it looks like Hazard pretty well ahead of the bunch. Until I just said that, he's met his fate. And the corkscrew clipped a flag and went diving into the dirt there. So we'll see if he can get that back up into the air. It looks like he's pretty still right now.
AK Sumner 16 in first.
So AK Sumner edges in just ahead of Dan Boy Manboy on that one. Their first lap times 32 seconds with a 6/10 of a second split on that. 32.1, 32.7. Hazard FPV, a little bit of movement out there. He's still trying to flick things. He is upright right now. And maybe he'll get it back up into the air. A little bit of contact into the back gate. Both of these guys are right on top of each other. Contact on both gates, the back gate and the front and the timing gate. Dan Boy Manboy and AK Sumner, they are neck and neck. Tight race. So 40 seconds left in this race. We'll see at least another lap past this one. So it's been stretched out just a little bit. As you see, Dan Boy Manboy getting the advantage right now through the start gate, but only a couple seconds ahead. And in fact, it's AK Sumner now looking like he's just gone right by him. So he gave it a big old boost with the gas and pushed it by. Hazard FPV's up in the air, and AK Sumner now hot dogging it out there, ends up into the ground. So 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the end of that race, and AK Sumner will get a minute to get his quad back up into the air and finish this point and get some points. Dan Boy Manboy clipping a gate there as he... Dan Boy Manboy clipping a gate as he went through there and ends up being the only one left standing at the end of this race. So that was a heck of a race. Lots of back and forth, and only one walks away. Oh, is he working on it still? Hazard FPV actually still inside the 1 minute. He is still working on that quad to get it going. He does have faith. He wants those points. So 48, 49, 50 seconds. And it's up. Just at the buzzer there. It's 1 minute now past the race. So he does get it up into the air. He will have the opportunity to get some points and continue his charge on the day. So not too far to go did he have, and he is through the finish line and does pick up 4 points.
All pilots are finished. The race is completed. FPV Maverick.
So it's Dan Boy Manboy that comes out ahead in that one, and that'll put the ball back in AK Honky's court going forward. So it's Dan Boy Manboy with 10 points. Hazard FPV pulls it out there at the end, resurrects, and gets his 6 points on the day. Season-wise, there it is. It's Dan Boy Manboy now leaping out ahead of AK Honky with that 10-point finish. So it's maybe going to be back and forth throughout a lot of the day. That 3rd and 4th position is where we're really going to want to focus to watch where that horse race is. Of course, it is only 2 points at the top as well, so lots of drama to go yet, folks. And it's round 5, heat number 2. AK Drones in chair number 1, FPV Drift. Right after him, FPV Maverick, who is fighting for his position on the top of the leaderboard there. And FPV Free in chair number 4 out there on the track right now. They are placing their drones, and airplane coming by. There is an airport right next door to the Jim Creek RC Park, although the pattern operates in the other direction, so we don't often get a lot of planes coming right over the top. Just between that tree line and the Pioneer Peak there in the background, there's the Knik River runs through there. It's fed off the Knik Glacier, runs down into the Knik Arm of the Cook Inlet, which Anchorage, Alaska is part of that body of water, the Knik Arm branching into the Cook Inlet. There's where it sits. So you can't quite see any of the real good features there. Up over the trees to the left, if you get up over the tree line, maybe if one of the guys, if you freeze frame on one of his victory laps, you may just get a glimpse of the Knik Glacier nestled there up to the left of Pioneer Peak. So it looks like we're got our quads just about placed. The pilot's slowly returning to the line. There may be some technical issues. I see that FPV Maverick's moving rather quickly, so he's wanting to get some issues resolved. Looks like he's got a bag of props there, so he is gonna maybe found a crack on one of his props. He's gonna change that out. Okay, folks, so a little bit of a mix-up there at the just a second right before we were ready to race. Everyone just kind of stopped, and we heard a drone sound high in the sky behind us, and no one could figure out what was going on there. We thought maybe someone was playing around with one back behind us, and it turns out FPV Drift's drone was armed and somehow just launched itself into the air and flew way off back behind the trees there. So we're going to probably have a search party later on to see what we can do to locate that. But in the meantime, he's got himself a backup quad, and he is trying to get that up and running so he can continue racing here. Looks like he's got some video, and looks like we're just about ready to race on this round 5 heat number 2. So no shortage of drama here at the Jim Creek RC Park. Just when you think you've seen it all, something like that. And it looks like we have 4 pilots just ready to go. So AK Drones may have a little bit of a video problem there. See what he's seeing on his. So it looks like everything's got a pretty good feed as far as we can tell. All right, we got thumbs up from all the pilots.
On the zone.
And we're just about to get away finally on round 5, heat number 2. And after all that, it is 3 quads into the air, and AK Drones came off the stand and just kind of rolled over into the dirt, made a little bit of a dust cloud. So that is as far as he got on this one so far. We'll keep checking in with him to see if he can get that back up into the air. For now, it's FPV Drift, FPV Maverick, and FPV Free in competition with the airplanes flying overhead. First through the gate, FPV Maverick. That one a lap time of 27.147 seconds. And that's a fast lap time. He's not holding back for those season points. He is going to keep it going.
Drift and Maverick are reversed in the video.
Okay, and just been advised that it's Drift and Maverick backwards on the video there. We'll do what we can to fix that up.
FPV Drift in third.
So there we go. We've got that fixed up just as One went into the dirt there. I didn't see who that was just looking up, but now we're all set. You can see who's who now. It's FPV Maverick again onto his third lap now. That was his third lap. He's on to his fourth, 23.903. FPV Free behind him, although a lap down on him right there. So FPV Maverick showing a pace. Looks like he's on pace for a 5-lap race. Again, we've had quite a few 5-lap races. At the beginning of the season, we were pushing hard for 4, and now we're seeing 6s from time to time as well. So there's FPV Maverick with 10 seconds left onto his 5th lap indeed. FPV Drift now through the gate, 2 laps in. And some contact with the ground. It's FPV Free just before getting to the finish line. We'll see if he can get that back up into the air. FPV Maverick comes through, gets the 10 points to push himself up ahead. FPV Drift is the last man standing as we speak. We'll keep an eye on FPV Free. He's got it upright. He'll have a minute to get that done. And it's FPV Drift right now going through the split S and into the corkscrew. So things standing the way they are, FPV Drift is on the same lap as FPV Free. And it looks like he has unplugged, so that should do it for him. FPV Drift finishes his race, picks up 6 points on the day. So after all that, FPV Drift goes on to his backup drone, picks up 6 points to FPV Maverick's victory on that one. 10 points for FPV Maverick. And just looking at the race day standings where we are right now, that continues the perfect charge for FPV Maverick. I don't think there's been anybody that's actually made the perfect race yet this season, so we're holding out hopes for that. AK Honky a little ways behind him there in second place at 36. So after round 5, heat number 2, it's FPV Maverick now up on top with 340 points, extending his margin against Mr. Geek FPV. It's an 8-point lead right now. Mr. Geek FPV coming up in round number 5, heat 3, has the chance to vault back over him, just as Dan Boy did over AK Honky in this last round. So that's your horse race going forward this on the season standings. Race day wise, it's Mr. Geek
FPV.
Having a tough time today with the 16 points so far on there. So we're really looking on the season with that. It's AK Honky in this one that looks to stand the most with 36 points on the day to miss FPV Mavericks 50. So looking for a trophy there and looking for something on the season. So we are on down to round number 5, heat 3. It'll be FPV Slacker, Smwok FPV, AK Honky, and Mr. Geek FPV here in respectively in those chair positions. So they've got their drones set up and placed. They're back to the flight line. It'll be FPV Slacker still working on placing his quad and getting the video out there, getting things up and running. So many things that can go wrong on these quads, all the moving parts, the speeds that they're moving, the batteries, the charge that they're pulling, and then it's crashing into the ground. Even a good landing out here at the Jim Creek RC Park can be a death knell for that drone, as there are stumps and twigs and all sorts of hazards out there that can ruin your day as a drone pilot. A cracked prop, any kind of wires that get cut by a stray branch, anything can do it that can end your day if you don't have a backup drone, as you saw FPV Drift did have his. Luckily, he's out hunting for his first one right now. Kind of an interesting event to have happened there. We have not seen that before, so maybe a problem with a fail-safe on that, and those things are meant to prevent those sorts of things from occurring. Either way, it's FPV Slacker on his way back from the flight line. Everything seems to be up and working, and the other 3 pilots just about up and ready to go. Okay, it looks like we do have 4 pilots ready, and with their spotters, I believe I'm not sure if the spotters are out there. We do have the spotters, and it looks like we are ready to race.
All the racers are ready?
Yeah, do the thing.
Oh, okay.
Get thumbs up.
Hey!
Oh.
sorry.
Let's do false start.
I didn't mean to click it. This is sensitive.
He's so excited.
Sensitive mouse, man. Can't even see the screen. Where's the mouse? I can't see the screen at all.
Yeah, false start the race. There you go. Now you should. So, racers ready. Spotters ready. We got spotters? Hello, yes.
On the tone.
On the tone. So we're just about ready to race here.
Smock FPV, AK.
And it is a start.
Take it off.
FPV Slacker.
So Mr. Geek is left at the starting gate. Everyone left him behind there. It's 3 quads in the air right now. Not sure what happened to him there. And his collision out on the S turn, split S as well between AK Honky now in the dirt here. He got mixed up with, look like Smock out there. So right now it's FPV Slacker and Smock are the 2 sole survivors out on the track right now. This will have a definite bearing on how we go forward with the season results. So Smock, Mr. Geek back into the air, or up into the air, I should say. He wasn't up before. AK Honky now is going to be incumbent upon him to get his quad going, and indeed, he launches it like a rocket straight up into the air. We have 4 drones racing once again. So right now, it's Mr. Geek, Smock, and FPV Slacker that have all got 1 lap. Actually, Mr. Geek has got a bonus lap on there as he was near the gate, I believe. So you got to erase that first lap on him. I think you right-click it. I'm not sure. Just we'll deal with it later. So the timing computer's got a little bit of a misinformation in it. As we listen to that, we'll have to discern who is where. Right now, it's a close race in the corkscrew. And Mr. Geek should be a couple of laps ahead, so we'll just he should be at least 1 lap down there. Right now, it's showing Smock with 3 laps, and 8 seconds to go. Mr. Geek has once again found trouble. He's in the ground with just static, so that one should be it for him. He should be. That should do it, and the tone has sounded. Everyone through the gate now.
FPV Slacker done.
FPV Slacker has finished his race. It's Smock and AK Honky who's now found trouble again. AK Honky into the dirt. So a lot of carnage out there on this race for sure. We'll have to keep an eye on AK Honky to see if he can get it back up there. So Smock FPV finishes it up. And Mr. Geek's still out on the ground. So we need to see if AK Honky, with 30 seconds left, if he can get that back up into the air. All eyes are on him. There is some movement there, so there is hope for him. So we're 47 seconds past the race time. And a little bit of motion, but doesn't look like it's quite going to be enough. And there is 1 minute past the race time. That's it for AK Honky. Unfortunately, he was unable to finish his race. Okay, and the results of round 5, we're all through 5 rounds. Now it's round 5, heat 3. Smock FPV takes that one 4 laps to 2:20.820. FPV Slacker listed twice. There was a mix-up in the seating. It was Mr. Geek who did not finish in the place of the 3rd place there in place of FPV Slacker. So FPV Slacker gets the 6 points on the day, 2 laps in just over 2 minutes of time. For the race standings after 5 complete rounds, it's FPV Maverick with an 8-point margin on everybody else on the day. With 2 rounds to go, there's still 20 points in the bag there that people can gain. Smock FPV solidly in second at 42. Behind him by 6 points is AK Honky in third. Hazard FPV still in the hunt with 32, with a potential 52 points on the day. Season standings wise, going forward onto that after 5 complete rounds, it's FPV Maverick, followed by Mr. Geek FPV, the same margin as before, 8 points. And Dan Boy Man Boy within 8 points of Mr. Geek for third, and just behind him it's AK Honky leaving it his quad in the weeds on that one, unable to close the gap between himself and Dan Boy Manboy. Again, 20 points still on the table with 2 rounds still to go. So it is round 6, heat number 1, FPV Slacker, AK Sumner, AK Honky, and Dan Boy Manboy. It's AK Honky and Dan Boy Manboy are head-to-head on this one. Again, going back to season points, you'll see where that becomes relevant. AK Honky, Dan Boy Manboy separated by a mere 6 points, and that's who we'll be looking as we go through this next race. It looks like we're getting everything up and ready to go here. All 4 racers have their goggles on. It looks like they are just about ready to race. Racers ready? Yeah, spotters. Okay. Yeah, we good? On the tone. So waiting for the tone and just about ready to race. And we have 4 quads up into the air and racing on this round 6, heat number 1. So pretty good tight grouping as they go through the back part of the course into the split S, into the corkscrew. It's AK Sumner finding the bottom pole of the corkscrew and meeting the ground. Pretty crazy dive just there. It was, I think that's Dan Boy Manboy there. We'll have to take a look. That was Dan Boy Manboy right through the corkscrew with a violent dive right down towards the ground. I thought for sure he was going to go in, but it was a nice pull out. Must have been a few G's on that quad. Anyways, it's AK Honky right now in first place with 33.713, followed closely by Dan Boy Manboy, 37 seconds, and AK Sumner in third with 42 seconds. It's FPV Slacker still working on his first lap. Through the gate again, it's AK Honky now in the solid first place in command of this race right now. Dan Boy Manboy only a few seconds behind him, and AK Honky has found the ground. I didn't see where he went in, but he is in the ground, and so is AK Sumner. It's FPV Slacker and Dan Boy Manboy right now, the sole men standing out there. We'll get back to AK Honky. If he can get that thing back in the air, that'll be 2 races in a row for him if he's unable to get that up. Dan Boy Manboy now able to take it a little bit easier out there, probably thinking he can coast in with a 10-point here. With 12 seconds left on the race, AK Honky's still working on getting that quad back up into the air. Dan Boy Manboy is making his way around the track. That last lap for him, 31.501 seconds. Not too far off his lap time before. And that's the tone. That will be the end of the race time. They'll need to finish their laps now. Right now it's FPV Slacker and Dan Boy Manboy in the air. Dan Boy Manboy through the gate will pick up that 10 points, extend his lead over AK Honky. And FPV Slacker being the last man standing out there over the hurdle, not too far behind him. There he comes through the gate. He'll finish up his race as well.
Pilots are finished.
And the race results for round 6, heat number 1 is Dan Boy Manboy picking up those 10 points. AK Honky looking to stay up with them there, unable to keep it into the air. That'll have some ramifications. They do get one more matchup in the next round. It does happen to be that they go head-to-head. So Dan Boy Manboy right now picks up the 10. FPV Slacker, the only other one to finish the race. The 6 points on the day there. So taking a look as we go through the race day standings, FPV Maverick still looking good up there. Was AK Honky looking to threaten that lead right there. He doesn't put anything on the board. It's Dan Boy Manboy down there at 26. Those are the only changes on that list right now. And for the season, you'll see Dan Boy Manboy now has gone ahead of Mr. Geek. And I believe Mr. Geek could be in the next round. He hasn't raced just yet. Dan Boy Manboy now has gone ahead of Mr. Geek FPV. FPV Maverick up ahead 340. So AK Honky starting to lose a little bit of ground after not finishing 2 of those races. And in round 2, looking, it is nobody on this leaderboard is going to be in that race going forward. So as you see, round 6, heat number 2 is the AK Drones, Hazard FPV, and FPV Free. Looking at the season, the race day totals to see who's got a shot and where they have it. You can see Hazard FPV right now is in contention for a trophy right now. With 20 points still on the line, you got your round 6 and round 7 points. A potential point spread of 52 for Hazard FPV, notwithstanding anybody else ahead of him making points, could put him up into first place points as it stands right now. For AK Drones, still having a bit of a difficulty getting his quad up into the air. We're hoping we could see him race a full race on this next one right here. An FPV Free, slow and steady. It's 20 points right now, also having some difficulty finishing the races. So they're out there at the start gate right now, taking a look at their quads, discussing strategies, and should be returning to the flight line momentarily. All right, now we have pilots back at the flight line now, getting themselves with their final preparations, headsets on, plugs in. And we are just about ready to race, folks.
Ready, guys, spotter? All right. I got pilots ready.
All right, we've got 3 pilots
Tone.
queued up and ready to go, waiting for the tone.
Let's race.
Tone sounds, and we have 3 quads cleanly into the air.
The AK Drones.
All 3 through the starting gate. And it's Hazard FPV out there ahead. You can see down the backstretch. That sun is a little bit of a issue potentially, but it doesn't look like it's really washing out anybody's video. AK Drones flying into the sun, ends up into the ground. We'll look and see if he can get that thing righted. For now, it's Hazard FPV first through the gates, 25.757 seconds. So we will join AK Drones back if he could get that thing back into the air. Right now, FPV Free completing his first lap in a time of 41.081. Hazard FPV now going through the corkscrew around that flag and that, what we're calling it, the back gate over the hurdle, and on lap number 3. That one significantly slower for by his standards, 31.581 seconds on that lap. You can see his fastest one about 6 seconds faster than that. FPV Free now through the split S. Hazard FPV on his tail now, going through the corkscrew. It's a big looping furball. Looks like a dogfight out there right now. And Hazard FPV gets by FPV Free just before getting to the gate. 30 seconds left in this race. So Hazard's picked up his time just a little bit on that one, 26.147 seconds on that particular lap for him. He is on pace for a 5-lap race, nothing to sneeze at. So here he comes again through the gate. Another faster lap. This is the fastest one of this race, 24.113, 4 seconds to go, and that should do it for both the guys out on the track. And FPV Free finds an obstacle and ends up upside down. We'll see if he can get that going. He's got 1 minute to get that back into the air. Hazard FPV coming through the backstretch. He'll add 10 points to his day. He'll be happy with that performance out there. 10 points.
There's a hole right there.
And that is, let's see, we still have 1 out on the track. FPV Free has 30 seconds to get that quad back up into the air. You can see him, he's armed. You can see all the modes going through them, trying to get that thing going. So you can hear what he's trying to do. There may be a jammed prop or something that's keeping it from flying. And that is it. He's going to hang up the controller. So it's Hazard FPV, the sole survivor on that one. 5 laps into 12.903. If you compare that to one of his earlier performances, I think it was the first performance on the day, starting to ease it up a little bit maybe out there. We're down 11 seconds from the pace on the first one, but he does gain the 10 points on the race day, moves him to, let's see if we can find, there he is on the race day now, tied for second place on the day. So we got a horse race on the race day, and in the season standings, nothing's changed there. Once again, to reiterate, 6-point spread between FPV Maverick and now Dan Boy Man Boy going into second place. It's Mr. Geek 2 points behind him, with AK Honky with 4 further, or actually that's 14 points now to make up on that one. So top 3, 4 more heats, I guess I should say, around 6 heat 3 and all 7 to make up those points and move on to the championship race. So looking at those times right now, it's FPV Maverick at 3:40, Mr. Geek at 3:32. That is a 8-point spread, and in this round 6 heat 3 race, it's going to be Mr. Geek and FPV Maverick paired up in chairs 3 and 4 to keep the pressure in on the day to see who comes out the points champion there. Smock FPV in chair 1 and FPV Drift in chair number 2. They have placed their quads. Looks like we have everybody ready to go. FPV Maverick working on maybe an antenna polarization issue there. He's getting that more, maybe changing out an antenna, something's. All right, there he is. It looks like he's ready to go.
Ready? On the tone. Let's race.
So the tone sounds, 4 into the air, 1 up high in the back there. Interesting start there for, I think it was Maverick there. Vaulted way up into the air and came diving, swooping down through the start gate. Pretty good tactic. He picks up a little bit of speed just from the altitude loss there. Get himself oriented maybe. Good strategy. And FPV Maverick in the split S is flown into the ground. He'll get right back up though. It'll cost him a little bit of time. 3 pilots basically right on top of each other going through the start gate, and it's FPV Maverick again that makes a slight mistake, gets through. It's a Smock, FPV Maverick, and Mr. Geek, I guess it was, that made the slight mistake. And the time spread on that one, 30.299 for Smock, 30.761 for FPV Maverick, and 30.961 for Mr. Geek. FPV Drift still out there on his first lap. It's a furball out there in the corkscrew. 3 pilots neck and neck. This is a close race, folks. This is one that we're going to probably put up on the main camera to show you what's going on. Once again, FPV Maverick now has found some trouble. Smock has found some trouble. So a couple of casualties. Mr. Geek is down. So 3 of those leaders that were right on top of each other are all in the dirt. FPV Maverick has found his way back into the air. And it's FPV Drift and FPV Maverick right now that are the 2 left standing. We'll get back to the other 2 if we get them back up into the air. So Mr. Geek and Smock looking to get back into the air. That will have implications on both the race day and the season standings. FPV Maverick seems to have kind of relaxed a little bit here. He's going to take it easy, make sure it's a good strategy, make sure he gets those points. He will have to do one more lap, however, as he comes through the gate with 7 seconds remaining. That puts him on to his 4th lap, definitely taking it slow. A very well thought out plan on that one, to be sure. FPV Drift now, with the time expired, will be the first one to be done with the racing.
4th FPV Drift done.
So he's done. With one more round to go in his season for him, it's going to be FPV Maverick out there on the track. You see him zooming around. There's the corkscrew. And over the hurdle. And he'll pick up the 10 points. And he just hits the little, almost a mishap there at the end there as he went through the start line there. But he picks up his 10 points, and he'll be happy to have that for sure.
A. Sumner.
So every race has consequences, folks. You race right up until the end, and we keep racing up to the end just for the fact that we don't know how it's going to shake out. Round 6 is now over. FPV Maverick pulls out a 10-point margin on that one. That'll add to his both race day and season leads. FPV Drift pulls in the second place on that one as well. Starting off with the race day, it's FPV Maverick now insulated completely from anybody else. He'll be the victor today no matter what happens. 60 points for him. Hazard FPV and Smock both tied up at second place with 42 points. That'll be a battle there. AK Honky back at 36, so still potentially in the running with 46 potential points he could get. He'll have to count on some help from others. Season standings now. We move to that. FPV Maverick has extended his lead to an almost unbeatable margin at this point. In fact, Manboy with only 10 more points that he can make up in the season, it does look like FPV Maverick will be the season's point champion going into the championship race. He's got that one sewed up. It's Manboy and Mr. Geek still fighting it out for second place there with a 2-point spread. AK Honky still looks like he is now mathematically eliminated from the round. So they're your top 3. They're going to be in there. It's just a matter of pride to see what order they come up in. And it'll be FPV Maverick, Manboy, and Mr. Geek. FPV in the championship race today. We are finally on to the last round of the 2018 Alaska Drone Racing League season. This will be the last regular season race for all these gentlemen. It's round 7, Heat 1. FPV Slacker, AK Sumner, AK Honky, and Manboy are out there on the track and got their drones set up. They are ready to race. As Spuds McKenzie walks across the board, looking to check to make sure everybody's in position and ready to go. Okay, racers ready. Spotters, yes, on the tone. Round 7, heat number 1 is begun.
FPV Slacker.
And we've got 4 quads up into the air. We are racing with the exciting music playing in the background to give some perspective there. It's AK Honky now tumbling off into the brush at the edge of the track there. And he'll try to get that one righted back up before a bear finds it. Otherwise, it's FPV Slacker, AK Sumner, and Manboy still out on the track. 1, 2, 4. So AK Honky's still working on getting that up and running there. We'll join him again if it does get going. In fact, we'll stay with him. And a seaplane making its way past the track as we go there. AK Sumner and Manboy through the gate pretty close together right there. It's Manboy 1 lap up now on AK Sumner. His lap time of 27.418 was Manboy. AK Honky still working on getting that quad up and running. 35 seconds left in this race. AK Sumner charging hard there through the corkscrew. Not holding anything back there.
Manboy in first.
Manboy now onto his 4th lap with 22 seconds left on the race. That last time very fast, 27.707 seconds. AK Sumner's last one, 31.801. And just as I say that, AK Sumner finds an obstacle out there. And he is now rendered black screen. So we're going to join him if we can get that back up and running as well. Right now, the bell has sounded. Manboy makes the whole shot. He gets one more lap on that one. So he'll have a victory lap on the season here. One more regular season lap for him as FPV Slacker still out on the course as well. So Dan Boy, Man Boy through the corkscrew, allowing that flag over the hurdle, and one more gate for him, and that's it for the regular season on him. And FPV Slacker is also on the ground. That'll finish round 7 of the 2018 season for them. So there's your results for round 7, heat number 1. It's Dan Boy, Man Boy picking up that much needed 10 points to keep himself moving forward on the season and race day. FPV Slacker picking up 6 points for himself there as well. So race day standings wise, it's Dan Boy, Man Boy picking up that 10, and that'll do it for him. That's the season. That's it for the race here. It's going to be between Hazard and Smock coming up in round number 7 to see who gets second and third respectively. Season standings wise, it's FPV Maverick still on top of Dan Boy, Man Boy with those 10 points. Only 6 points away.
Hazard FPV.
With Dan Boy, Man Boy, and FPV Maverick both finished.
Minded FPV. Mr. Geek FPV.
FPV Maverick obviously already has that sewn up on first, and there's all sorts of noise out here trying to work through that. Dan Boy, Man Boy, and Mr. Geek are looking for bragging rights going into the season race-off as well. In fact, it looks like Mr. Geek, even with 10 points, is going to end up in third on the season after all is said and done. So start off the day number 1 and drops down to 3 on the season. It is round 7, heat number 2, the penultimate round of the 2018 season. Hazard FPV Maverick in chairs 1 and 2, and chair number 4 will be Mr. Geek FPV. Everything's all put together and they're all at their stations. FPV Maverick is out there just for fun, so he can do whatever he wants. He can play favorites, he can take out who he wants to, or he could just go fly big circles around the track. It doesn't matter. He's locked up either way into wherever he wants to be. It's a fun race.
Ready then?
So everybody's up and ready to go, and we're just about ready to race.
On the tone. Let's race.
And we've got a good start. 3 pilots into the air. It's a race and a big collision right out front of us there. I think it was Hazard. I think Mr. Geek actually ended up into the ground. And that was on just the flag right in front of our station here. And he'll be working on getting that back up into the air. No bearing on points or anything like that. Everything's pretty well set up standings-wise. It's just a matter of pride and where you end up and how many points are the spread.
FPV Maverick in second.
So right now it's Hazard just ahead of FPV Maverick. This is going to be a race for pride still, I have to imagine. These are the 2 fastest guys out there. Aren't going to want to let the other one get ahead of them. So it is still pretty close, although it's Hazard
FPV in
with a fairly sizable margin. There's Hazard and then there's Maverick. A couple of seconds difference between there, and in fact it was FPV Maverick's lap was a bit faster than Hazard's on that last one, so he is closing the gap. No need to hold back on this one, folks. It's a matter of pride, bragging rights, and all that kind of stuff. Hazard FPV actually looks to be extending his lead right now. And we'll get back to Mr. Geek if he goes. So FPV Maverick running into a little bit of trouble out there.
I don't even know what happened there.
And just as I looked down to switch cameras, he ended up in the ground. So it's Hazard FPV with free reign of this thing with 18 seconds left in this race.
15 seconds.
Hazard FPV's still on pace just to get that 5th lap and or a 5-lap race, and just missed that 6, but we'll see how that shakes out. It's 2, 1, 0, and indeed that'll be 5 laps for him. FPV Maverick will have a full minute to get his quad back into the air. So that's it for FPV, Hazard FPV. And Maverick is still, looks like he's working on getting that thing going. He'll have 40 seconds to get that into the air. Not seeing a lot of motion out there. There are some props, and he does have it in the air. So FPV Maverick is going to finish his race.
Hold on. I'll get behind the flight line right.
So he'll go into the corkscrew. So he'll pick himself up, dust himself off, and finish the race with some dignity there. And that is it for the regular season for all of them as well.
Finished.
Around 7, heat number 2, it's Hazard FPV that ends up getting 10 points on that one. That'll be what he was looking for there. FPV Maverick, who was basically locked up all the way through, ends up getting 6 points on the day with that one. Race day standings wise now, FPV Maverick still solidly on top. It's Hazard FPV 52 points, Smock FPV 42 points. Smock FPV is up in this next round, and he is in there with AK Drones, FPV Drift, and FPV Free. So there could be a second place race-off coming up in the regular season. So some bonus racing potentially coming up here in this season. Season standings-wise, Dan Boy, Man Boy, and Mr. Geek FPV, that's all sewn up. That's all done. And that is all cemented up. So we do see our 3 in that order going into the final race-off of the year. And we have reached the final regular season race of the 2018 season. It's round 7, heat number 3. AK Drones, Smock FPV, FPV Drift, and FPV Free out there putting their quads up on this beautiful Alaska autumn afternoon. It's just a great day to enjoy just being out here and what's around us here. So they're going to get their drones set up on the podiums there and make their way back to the flight line momentarily.
AK Drones.
And so the dog pack begins to grow before the end of the season race. Here we've got a few more, and we'll actually have a real dog pack on our hands out there. We got 4 pilots back up at the line, getting their stuff put together and getting ready to race. And it's underway. The tone has sounded. We got 4 pilots into the air. 4 pilots racing on this last race in the autumn time season. So it looks like Smock FPV is doing what he needs to do to get up ahead, and he's going to look for those 10 points to keep himself in contention to go on to a bonus race. Anything less than that, it's all sewn up. At the same time, you don't want to go too hard and end up in the ground and miss it. So Smock right now in first, 33.043. There's strategy in every sport. Drone racing is not to be excluded. Waiting for the next pilot to come through the gates here now.
FPV Free in second.
It's FPV Free. And just behind him, FPV Drift making his way to the gates as well. AK Drone still on his first lap out there at the split S. Into the corkscrew he goes.
Smock FPV in first.
Smock FPV tallying his second lap at a time of 34.404. About a second slower than his previous one there.
AK Drones in fourth.
Everybody's still in the air on this one. So far a clean race. Smock FPV now coming into the corkscrew along with FPV Drift. So a couple of them in about the same place at the same time. FPV Drift goes a bit wider than Smock, and all danger of collision has been averted. Smock now
Smock FPV in first.
through the gate in first with 10 seconds left in this race. Smock will need to finish his lap in order to go on to the bonus round there. A little bit of contact out there. I didn't see who it was. And that is it. The bell has sounded on the last race of the regular season. Everybody out here on the track will need to finish their lap to gain their points to have that in the books for them on the season. In the corkscrew, there's a few pilots out there right now, so a little bit of danger out there with people meeting places, and it will be
FPV free in second,
FPV free finishing before Smock.
Swak FPV in
Uh,
third, Swak FPV
But Smock actually will be in first, being a lap up on him, and indeed we will go to a race-off. So let's not finish that season just yet. We got to have just a little bit more drama in this season before we call it a day. FPV Drift is out there on the track still, along with AK Drones, who's up in the air as well.
AK Drones in fourth, AK Drones.
So
done.
AK Drones finishes it all up,
Pilots are finished.
and that is the race. And there's the results. Round 7, heat number 3 at Smock. Smock FPV indeed winning that race. 10 points he gets, sending a race off. We'll talk about that in just a second. FPV Free and FPV Drift each finishing their races respectively with 6 and 4 points. AK Drones also finishing a race. I think that was the first one he finished today as well, so he'll add some points to the board as well. The race day standings end up like this. FPV Maverick with the win there. It's Hazard FPV and Smock now in a tie for second. The only way to decide that is to go into a race-off. So we will indeed have that momentarily. We'll get that all set up and brought back to you. The race-off of the 2018 season points race number 9 coming right up. Okay, and we have reached the race-off. One more race here on the regular season of the 2018 season. Looks like these guys are ready to go.
Everybody relax? Yeah. All right. You ready?
And of course we got spotters. All eyes are out on the track as we speak.
For second and third. Let's race.
Waiting for the tone now. It has sounded. They are in the air.
FPV.
And here we go, folks. So pretty good spread right now. Into the corkscrew, it's Hazard FPV. Smock just behind him going into the corkscrew now. So a couple of seconds spread, it looks like, for the time being. Through the start gate right now, it's Hazard FPV. 24.745 seconds, followed by Smock, about 5.5 seconds behind him. So we'll have to see if those lap times start to close or if they stay the same. Hazard FPV back into the split S, up into the corkscrew. Coming around the back flag there, and it's Smock now getting into the split S. So Hazard pulling away pretty easily on this one for the time being. That one a 23.723 second lap time for Hazard. That'll put him on pace just under the 6 lap time. So he'll have to pick it up a little bit if he wants to put a punctuation mark on this thing and go into the 6th lap. Right now it's Smock FPV onto his 3rd lap, 31.191. Hazard FPV now onto his 4th lap with 37 seconds left in this race. 24.045 seconds on that last one. Closed the gap a little bit. It's just under a 6 lap pace. He'll have to come out even stronger on this next one to push that one forward. Smock finishes there on this 4th lap, and Hazard FPV indeed does that. 22.492 seconds, a blistering lap. That gives him a 6 lap pace. With 13 seconds, he's going to have to push it pretty hard to get it on through there. Smock FPV is on his 4th lap. 31.433 seconds on that last one. And Hazard has gotten the 6th lap. So getting a punctuation mark. That's, I think, the first 6 lap race of the day. We might have had one other one. It would have been Hazard. So good job on that one there. Hazard FPV in the split S through the corkscrew. Smock FPV kind of taking it easy now, making it through the race. He'll make sure that he finishes it up.
First Hazard FPV done.
And Hazard FPV brings home the silver.
The race is completed.
Another good race and another great season.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute to thank you all for coming to this season. We had unbelievable weather. Every meet we had, I think we only had one day where it started raining just a little bit, but for the most part, it's been like this. Can you believe this? The end of September, and it's sunny and just beautiful out. To commemorate the end of the year, we still have one more race to go. Obviously, we got the championship we want to do. But before that, we have some recognition items that we want to take care of as well. This event could not happen without all of your participation on this. And Mark and I and Steve want to give just a huge thank you to all of you. Thank you very much. We enjoy organizing this stuff, and I really enjoy watching how fast you guys are getting on these tracks. I can't wait till next year. With no further ado, we had Dan Boy Man Boy volunteered to do some work for us so we could do some recognition to some pilots. Dan, you want to come up?
So, first one is for the man, Jeff, himself. They all come with the base.
Yes. I'm going to say something about Jeff. Because of Jeff's work, we have set the bar as far as race recaps and everything, I believe, across MultiGP. So thank you, Jeff, for setting the bar.
I will tell you, we get so many compliments from the producers of MultiGP for the events that Jeff put together. It's really getting us noticed in the state of Alaska. I'm really proud of that. Thank you, Jeff.
FPV free.
FPV free. Kind of got started a little bit late in the season, but how many meets have you been to now?
3. This is my 3rd. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we're going to be able to see you all next year, correct? All right.
Get the base and everything.
What these have, these are etched, and they have a LED, different colors in there. They got a remote. When you put it on the base, the etching comes out pretty bright. You are another one that come out and help a lot, so we really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Next would be Wes.
Oh
Mr.
man,
FPV Drift.
this guy. Let me tell you about this. You want to tell him about this guy?
Let me tell you about this guy, Wes, FPV Drift. He has been instrumental. I don't think this could be happening without Wes. So Wes, thank you very much for everything you do.
No, thank you.
It's truly appreciated.
We have batteries too. So Caleb, don't forget to grab a battery before you go for the remote. Next, AK Honky.
This guy, I don't know how we would do any of the timing stuff without him. You have been instrumental in making this success this year, so we very much appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Good job, John.
AK Drones, our youngest member of Alaska Drone Racing League.
Here's a towel.
How many times have you been out now, Ryan?
4.
4 times?
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of you for next year, right?
Yep.
I tell you what, that last race that you were eyeing in, I was getting worried because you and I were trading places along the whole way. Nice job.
Thank you.
Great job, Ryan.
Smart.
Walk FPV.
This poor guy, I don't know anybody that works harder than you. I mean, you missed a lot of our season.
Right.
Mainly because you lost your house this summer.
That was a terrible one.
Yes, it was. When you posted your picture of your quads and all your gear and stuff, I actually cried.
They were my babies.
But man, I can't imagine you're building your house all by yourself and you're still managing to come out here. Just want to thank you for being part of the group.
Well, I thank you guys for putting this together so we can come out and have fun every once in a while when we're overwhelmed.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
again, guys. Thank you very much.
Mr. Geek FPV. You are another. I think you made every one this year, haven't you?
I missed 2.
You missed 2?
Yeah, everyone but 2. But a lot better than last year.
Well, your speed is just incredible.
Getting better.
Next year, when we change our rules, we had a different process for this year, mainly because we knew we were going to have a lot of new pilots, and we didn't want them to get frustrated. One of the things we wanted to make sure is people understood that you have to finish the race in order to place well. So we tweaked our rules this year. Next year it's going to be all up multi-GP racing, and I'm certain you're going to be in the top.
Yeah, so I can crash on that last lap and it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Buckley.
Billy, FPV Maverick. Here's another one of our speed demons here for our chapter. He even went to I.O. this year and got to race with a lot of really top name pilots. And I got to tell you, there was one that I watched when he was racing with Nerf, or Nurk. I'm sorry, Nerf. It was Nurk. Billy didn't win, but I got to tell you, he actually stayed on his tail for most part the entire race. So nice job. I foresee you going very high for next year as well. Thank you for all your help. FPV Hazard, another speed demon. So, David, how many FPV events do you think you go through in a year?
A lot. Not up here though.
I know, that's what I'm asking. So can you name off just some of the events that you go to down the Lower 48?
I went to Buffalo Bando. I went to a lot of races in Maryland, actually. Yeah, and some in New Hampshire over the summer.
Okay, and very cool. And of course, you qualified to go to finals.
Oh yeah, I went to Seattle too.
Up here, and you went to Seattle with the group. So you're another one of those speed demons. I foresee you're gonna be high on the list for next year as well. Well, actually, is this your last year?
It might be my last year.
Up in Alaska,
California.
you'll still be in California racing, but our friend David will be going to college.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for participating this year.
Thank you.
Take one of these.
I really want to give some big props to 3 people. John for running the timing system. Here's some big props for you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Bill Thomas. Mr. Bill Thomas for being an outstanding volunteer. He's here at every race. He helps tremendously. He takes a lot of the work off of us.
Yes, he does.
So, Bill, big props for being an outstanding volunteer.
Thank you very much, Bill.
And last but not least, Mr. Manboy himself, for producing all the trophies all the year long. He put a ton of work into all these trophies all year. Even burned out his 3D printer just for you.
That's right.
Big props for Dan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. All right. So with that,
Well, no, there's one more thank you, Mark, I think we need to do. And that is to you. I mean,
me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're. Like he's got one of those plaques too. He didn't bring it out here today.
I've got all you.
But
One for Mark because he said he wanted it.
All right.
But without your dedication to this group, I don't think we ever would have got organized. So just a big thank you. We started this out. There was 3 of us going 3 different directions. Mark's the one that brought us all together, and I think it's what's made us successful, and I foresee us having a great future. So thank you very much, Mark.
Well, you're welcome. I'm very happy to do all of it. Thank you all. Thank you all. And with that, let's race a championship race.
Let's do it.
Well, we may be done racing for the season, but there is one more to go before Pioneer Peak turns in for the winter, as we do indoors and go to the Tiny Whoop Racing. It is the championship race-off of the 2018 season. 3 pilots have qualified for this race, and they will be going head-to-head over the course of 3 different races to come up with the ultimate season victor. So, without further ado, let's take a look at who is coming up next. In chair number 1, it'll be William Thomas, FPV Maverick from Anchorage, Alaska. Chair 2, it'll be Dan Mahoney from Anchorage, Alaska. Mr. Geek FPV, that'll be Buckley Clark from Anchorage, Alaska. They're sitting in the positions of the season totals for points going into this round. So that is your seeding, so to speak, and the seeding as they go into this round. We're getting a few more things sewn up as the Pioneer Peak sun has moved from left to right throughout the day, and we're enjoying some beautiful autumn weather to finish up this season with. We've had a little bit of an award ceremony out here, and it's just about time to call it a season and turn indoors for the rest of the year. So just getting a few more things set up with the scoring computer to make this official on the MultiGP site, and we'll be underway with championship racing here at MultiGP Alaska Drone Racing League. And so the rules have been put out here, a little bit different than what they've been doing throughout the season. Not a whole lot different, but what they're going to be doing is no penalty for crashing anymore. It's all based on MultiGP scoring techniques. It's going to be points, laps only. So as many laps as these guys can get in those 2 minutes, just like they did in the regional qualifiers. And whoever gets the fastest time outside of that is the victor. So we're going to award the 10 points, 6 points, 4 points to keep track of that throughout the race. But you get your 10 points by completing basically the most laps. And outside of the most laps, if it's a tie for that, it'll be the best time through those laps. So we got our 3 champions out there at the flight line, or the podiums. They're the start gates, getting their quads set up and ready to go. And they will be making their way back to get this thing started. Nobody really wants to finish this day here, as it's just been a spectacular day out here at Jim Creek RC Park. You can see the sun has moved off to the right side of Pioneer Peak, and there's still some nice day left out here. So there may be actually some fun flying left to go, and these guys, once they're done with all this thing, this is a die-hard bunch. It's all about the love of drone racing, and there sure is a lot of that going on right now. The 3 top pilots in the Alaska Drone Racing League are taking their places right now. It should be Billy, Danboy, and Geek. So FPV Maverick with a last-minute issue with his quad there, working back out. We'll afford him all the time that they're going to need, because this is the championship race. There's no DQing on points right now. Of course, if the quad does irreparably break, then there's nothing you can do about that. That'll put you out of the race altogether. So FPV Maverick now with his quad fixed up, he's making his way back to the flight line. A lot of excitement out here on the track here, this being the final race series of the season. Okay, so we've got spotters. The racers are ready to go. We've got spotters, and now just about ready to start. And here we go. It's called by Wes Frymouth. The start is underway, and we've got already Danboy Manboy into a gate. Mr. Geek also into a gate. It's FPV Maverick now owning the skies as he's in the course. All he has to do is keep the throttle forward, and he's got this first race of 3 sewed up. Danboy Manboy back in the air. Mr. Geek working hard to get that thing back going as well. FPV Maverick racing through the gate now, tallying his first lap. It'll come in under 25.496 seconds. Danboy Manboy considerably back there, just going through the split S and now into the corkscrew. Mr. Geek is down and out still, so it's a 2-man race right now. That'll make a big difference going forward. FPV Maverick finding a little bit of trouble out there as well. So we'll come back to Mr. Geek if we get that back in the air. Right now it's FPV Maverick solidly out in the lead. And the last one, a 24.525 second lap. Dan Boy, Man Boy keeping the pace going, probably trying to keep it fairly safe. Right now it's not a matter if you crash, it's just a matter of how many laps you can get. So really it's all about time and laps. No holding back on this thing. 33 seconds left on this race. FPV Maverick still holding a commanding lead going down the backstretch. And Mr. Geek looks like he is going to have to cede this race at the very least. It's not looking too good for him. FPV Maverick now into the corkscrew. Coming around into the starting complex once again. Dan Boy, Man Boy finding some trouble out there. So really FPV Maverick's race to have right now. Putting 10 points is going to make a big dent in this whole thing. And Dan Boy, Man Boy, as the bell rings, hits the gate, but still has race left in him. If he wants to add another lap, he certainly can. But it's FPV Maverick who's going to finish his lap. That will be 5 laps for him to Dan Boy's 3 laps. And he'll finish it up to finish that 4th lap because he has 1 minute to get it back in the air. Indeed, he does have it back in the air. So we'll follow him through the Split S. It's looking pretty solid in the racing of the course, through pretty smooth racing. These guys have refined their skills throughout the season. And there he is, Dan Boy, Man Boy, pulling out 4 laps in that one.
All pilots are finished. The race is completed.
So 1 race down. So FPV Maverick pulling out the first blood of the championship race there. It's 5 laps for him. Dan Boy, Man Boy. We're not looking at time, so that is irrelevant right now. And looking at laps first points, laps first, it's 5 laps to 4 laps to Dan Boy, Man Boy, 10 points to 6. Mr. Geek not getting anything in that one, so that's where we're looking right now going into the championship standings. So we're up to the second heat of the championship race-off. These things go a little bit quicker this time, as it's just 3 same guys racing in the same spots to just get their quads, replace their batteries, do any quick repairs they need to do, and get them back up on the podiums, and we continue racing. So after a short period of revamping batteries, screwing on new props, doing a few little repairs, we are walking the quads out to the flight line. Now it's Dan Boy, Man Boy over there in blue props. It's Mr. Geek with the orange props, and FPV Maverick with green props. So if we switch to the wide view, you'll see those quads running around. Those are your colors there on the prop. So that does help a little bit when the guys choose different prop colors. It's a lot more easily identifiable whose quad is whose. So we do have our quads placed on the starting podiums. The last 2 races in total of the season, it is hard to imagine getting any kind of a tying situation the way the points are, and with 3 races, it's very hard to imagine any kind of a race-off. But there is that possibility that could occur. So when I say 2 more races, you just never know. So they are back at the flight line now. And Dan Boy, Man Boy doing a little extra for the viewing audience there.
Okay, here we have spotters.
Okay, and everybody, including the dog, is ready to go.
Okay, we have 3 spotters. Are the pilots ready?
No. No.
Race number 2. Let's race on the tone.
The tone sounds and 3 quads are into the air and through the gate. It's another big race coming up at you here. FPV Maverick, Dan Boy, Man Boy, and Mr. Geek FPV duking it out for season bragging rights, season superiority. Pretty good grouping in the front, too, out there. It's FPV Maverick through the gate first. Mr. Geek going a little bit wide and having to hit it a second time lets Danboy Manboy by him. So Mr. Geek falling behind slightly on this one. And he'll have to go do it again. So he went back and grabbed the gate. He feels like he must have missed it, so he went and grabbed that one more time. And FPV Maverick now onto his third lap, I believe it is. He's 2 laps in. At a 26.548 lap time on the last one there. All pretty fast laps. It is FPV Maverick well out ahead of the other two, and he wins this one. Best 2 out of 3 basically wins it for him. The other two will be battling for second place because 20 points will be insurmountable. So 3 quads out there on the corkscrew complex. You can see them flying through all that. The types of speeds that they're achieving at there. Danboy Manboy gets through. 15 seconds left in this race. FPV Maverick 1 lap ahead of the 2. He'll have to fall out of the air in order to lose this one. These guys are all on lap number 4. It's Danboy Manboy, Mr. Geek, FPV Maverick on number 5. So that's race time. Billy gets through the lap, and he's got it. It looks like he'll be season champion there. And Danboy Manboy, Mr. Geek, 2 and 3. We'll have one more race to make sure those points hold up. But it looks like Billy's got it sewn up for season champion here.
The race is completed. Up next.
So round number 2 goes pretty much the same way. FPV Maverick with 5 laps. Danboy Manboy 4. Mr. Geek managed to stay in the air on this one. He gets 4 laps. And I think that probably will shake things out. It's 20 points for FPV Maverick, 12 for Danboy. Mr. Geek with 4. And the lap situation pretty similar there. 10, 8, and 4. So it looks like mathematics-wise, if Mr. Geek were to win and Danboy Manboy were to crash, it still could be a second and third place change. So it's not all over yet. We are going to take a look at another race, it looks like. So we do have one more race to go. It is the final race of the 2018 Alaska Drone Racing League season. This will be the third of 3 championship race-offs. So it's the best total laps is what we've determined is what's going to happen there. So we'll bring back what we've got here so far. And so it's 10 to 8 to 4. FPV Maverick and Danboy Manboy, Mr. Geek in the end. So as you can see, there is a chance that people will be able to get to change positions on this thing. So the tone has sounded. We're in the air. FPV Maverick, Danboy Manboy, and Mr. Geek all flying in about 1, 2, 3 formation there. They're pretty close to each other going through the backstretch and now into the split S. Danboy Manboy lost video. He's back in the woods somewhere, so that looks like that's going to be it for him on the season. It's all over there. So head-to-head against FPV Maverick and Mr. Geek FPV to finish off the season. This should be a tail-chasing race, it does look like. Mr. Geek's got a lot of laps to make up, so it's unlikely that he'll be able to catch FPV Maverick in laps, but he might be able to get past Danboy Manboy, where he only had to get 4 laps, I believe. So he'll have to push 4 laps out of this thing to get past him. 1 minute left into this. Mr. Geek onto his 3rd lap. He's on a 5-lap pace. Both of them are on 5-lap paces. FPV Maverick showing a 23.845 second lap on that last one. So through the gate now is FPV Maverick, still on pace for 5. He's going to miss that by about 3 seconds to go on to 6 laps if he doesn't pick up the pace a little bit there now. Mr. Geek now onto his 4th lap. This could tie up Dan Boy, Man Boy. In fact, if he gets that one more lap, that 5 lap, it'll be an undisputed second place finish. 15 seconds in the race. FPV Maverick meets with some difficulty, smacks into a obstacle and is in the ground. It's Mr. Geek picking up his 4th lap right now. He's got to finish this thing up. So it's just a matter of Mr. Geek finishing up that 5th lap now, and he will be undisputed second place. And no pressure as he's into the corkscrew. Coming around, FPV Maverick back up into the air now. He's just going to pile on another lap to his total. And Mr. Geek hits the gate but doesn't go through it. He gets scored and he is through. Just to add a little bit more drama to the situation there for him. FPV Maverick finishing, going into the corkscrew. And he'll be on his 5th lap here as FPV Maverick.
FPV Maverick in second. FPV Maverick done. The race is completed.
So Mr. Geek pulling out the winner on that one. FPV Maverick, the true victor of the season.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And so round number 3, race results look like this. Mr. Geek, FPV, pulling out the win on that one. 5 laps in less time than it took for FPV Maverick. Again, we're not putting the time into this thing, but it is a determining factor on equal laps. FPV Maverick coming in second. Dan Boy, Man Boy not able to complete a lap on that one. And so it turns out like this. Just as we said, where it looked like Mr. Geek didn't have much of a chance to leapfrog Dan Boy. Indeed, he does. It's Mr. Geek FPV in second place and Dan Boy, Man Boy in 3rd place. And that is your season, folks. Your season champions are thus, and they get to hold those bragging rights all the way into the next season, 2019. Well, folks, I would have to say this has been an amazing season. A lot more racers this year, more quality races. We're Tier 2 now, looking to go into Tier 1 here in the Alaska Drone Racing League. It's a great group of guys. You're missing out if you're a quad pilot out here in the state of Alaska and you're not joining this group. You need to make sure you're getting out here and getting your quad put to the paces with these guys. It's a very convivial group and a happy time to be here. Join us for this winter season. We're going to be inside. Follow the Facebook page and see more details on that as they come out. For now, thanks so much for joining us throughout the season. We're happy to have been here and create these videos for you. It's the championship race-off. The 2018 season for the Alaska Drone Racing League is now in the history books. Thanks again, and we'll see you again next year.
Okay, what a race. 2018 Alaska Drone Racing League Championship race. We got first, second, and third place winners, and we got a prize package for each place. We will start with position 3, and that would be Dan Boy, Man Boy. Congratulations, sir.
Man Boy, congratulations.
Thank you,
For the
guys.
2nd year in a row, 3rd place. Good job, Dan.
Thank
And
you.
here you're going to take a bat box home. The theme here is lipo safety.
Yes.
So you get some travel lipo bags, lipo checker, bat box, some neck warmer, silk scarves, some props, and the remote for your plaque.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Dan.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
See you again next year.
And for second place, we have Buckley, Mr. Geek FPV. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Buckley. Doing a great job.
And Mark, you want to go what the second prize package is?
The second prize package is the bat box, 2 lipo travel bags, Team Black Sheep brand, the lipo checker, the silk products, neck warmer, and Busy Bee USB. You plug this into your flight controller and a battery, and you download the app on your device, and you have the full Betaflight suite, including CLI, on your phone or on your device.
Nice, very cool.
And then you also have from White Noise Race Wire. I don't know if you're familiar with them. You might be.
Yep. Cool product.
Along with all these, Anchorage House of Hobby was kind enough to donate some gift cards for us, and third place was $20.
Second place is $30.
Oh, I'll spend that in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely. All right.
Them. It works out.
Well, congratulations, Buckley. You guys,
Thank
you worked very hard for it this year.
Congratulations, Buckley. We'll see you again very soon inside.
Oh, yes.
And that brings us down to our 2018 Alaska Drone Racing League first place champion, and that would be Billy Thomas. And FPV Maverick. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Billy. Great job.
And Mark, can you go over what goes for first place here?
For first place, again, we're going to have a bat box, 2 LiPo travel bags, a LiPo checker, a couple of silk items here, neck warmers, a pack of props, V1S props, a Speedy Bee from Anchorage House of Hobbies, $50 gift certificate. That's yours. And also, you'll get the TS100 field solder and pen with XT60 connector for power. So, congratulations, Billy. Great job.
Thank you.
And we know we're going to see a lot more of you.
Congratulations, Billy.
And with that, we're going to close out Alaska Drone Racing League 2018 summer season in the beautiful Butte, Alaska. It's been a great season. The weather has been spectacular. The average pilot attendance is 8.9 for this season, which is fractionally up from last year, so we're incrementally growing still. And keep an eye on our Facebook. We will be announcing soon our indoor location for winter 2018.
Yep, we will not be stopping racing over the winter. We will be doing some racing in the winter. We just got a few details to work out before we can announce that. But stay tuned, and we will be broadcasting during some of our winter stuff.
And with that, we will say,
Let's race.